Hello there, and welcome to Storytime with Tamarin. The inner actor in me became a little bit, lackluster, I think, at the end of last week, and then this week I have renewed energy following getting my bicycle in tip-top shape. And I have decided, because for Storytime today we are doing some of Chekhov's short stories, which I'm quite curious to see about. The inner actor in me thought, yes, I will dress for the occasion. So I've got my practice skirt on for auditioning for period drama that I've had since I was 18 years old. And here I sit, ready to read to you from the 19th century. I've also got a lovely lady's hat for the summer. I don't know if it kind of goes with the sort of Chekhovian, Victorian sort of era. Kind of, not really. I think we'll leave it. Anyway, I hope you're all well. I hope you're doing okay. Again, enjoying the sunshine perhaps today. So, we've moved on from science and we've gone to Chekhov. I like a bit of Chekhov. I know he's a very depressing playwright, I know, but he can be funny too. And I think his short stories will be interesting. Anyway, if you're sitting comfortably, I'm going to start with a short story of his called Chameleon. Please bear in mind, I will do my best, but maybe you can just laugh at me trying to pronounce the Russian names. I did just do the audiobook of Anna Karenina, which took me 3 weeks in the studio. It's out on Thursday on Audible. So I might be all right with some names, but I might be awful too, because I had a whole team then researching the names for me. Anyway. Chameleon. Police Inspector Chameleon crossed the marketplace in a new greatcoat, holding a bundle in his hand. After him strode a red-haired constable, carrying a sieve filled to the brim with confiscated gooseberries. All around was silence. There was not a soul in the marketplace. The open doors of small shops and taverns gaped drearily out at God's world, like so many hungry jaws. There were not even any beggars standing near them. All of a sudden, the sound of a voice came to Chameleon's ears. "So you'd bite, would you, you cur? Don't let it go, lads. Biting is not allowed nowadays. Hold it. Ow!" A dog's whine was heard. Chameleon glanced in the direction of the sound, and this is what he saw. A dog came running out of the timber yard of the merchant Pichugin on 3 legs, pursued by a man in a starched print shirt and an unbuttoned waistcoat, his whole body bent forward. The man stumbled and caught hold of the dog by one of its hind legs. There was another whine, and again a shout of, "Don't let it go!" Drowsy faces were thrust out of shops, and in no time a crowd, which seemed to have sprung out of the earth, had gathered around the timber yard. "Looks like a public disturbance, Your Honour," said the constable. Chameleon turned and marched up to the crowd. Right in front of the gate of the yard, he saw the above-mentioned individual in the unbuttoned waistcoat, who stood there with his right hand raised, displaying a bleeding finger to the crowd. The words, "I'll give it to you, you devil," seemed to be written on his tipsy countenance, and the finger itself looked like a banner of victory. Chameleon recognised in this individual Kryukin, the goldsmith. In the very middle of the crowd, its forelegs well apart, sat the culprit, its whole body a-tremble, a white borzoi pup with a pointed nose and a yellow spot on its back. In its tearful eyes was an expression of misery and horror. "What's this all about?" asked Chameleon, shouldering his way through the crowd. "What are you doing here? Why are you holding up your finger? Who shouted?" "I was walking along, Your Honour, as quiet as a lamb," began Kryukin, coughing into his fist. "I had business about some wood with Mitri Mitrich here, and suddenly, for no reason whatever, that nuisance bit my finger. Excuse me, but I'm a working man. Mine is a very intricate trade. Make them pay me compensation. Perhaps I won't be able to move this finger for a week. It doesn't say in the law, Your Honour, that we have to put up with ferocious animals. If everyone's to start biting, life won't be worth living." Well, well," said a Chemelov severely, coughing and twitching his eyebrows. "Well, well. Whose dog is it? I shan't leave it at this. I'll teach people to let dogs run about. It's time something was done about gentlemen who are not willing to obey the regulations. He'll get such a fine, the scoundrel. I'll teach him what it means to let dogs and cattle of all sorts rove about. I'll show him what's what. Eldarin," he continued, turning to the constable, "find out whose dog it is and draw up a statement. And the dog must be exterminated without delay. It's probably mad. Whose dog is it, I ask?" "I think it belongs to General Zigulov," said a voice from the crowd. "General Zigulov. Help me off with my coat, Eldarin. Phew, how hot it is. It must be going to rain." He turned to Kryukin. "One thing I don't understand. How did it happen to bite you? How could it have got at your finger? Such a little dog, and you such a strapping fellow. You must have scratched your finger with a nail and then taken it into your head to get paid for it. I know you fellows, a set of devils. He burned the end of its nose with a lighted cigarette for a joke, Your Honour, and it snapped at him. It's nobody's fool. That Kryukin's always up to some mischief, Your Honour." "None of your lies, Squinty. You didn't see me do it, so why lie? His Honour is a wise gentleman. He knows who's lying and who's telling a God's truth. May the justice of the peace try me if I'm lying. It says in the law, all men are equal now. I have a brother in the police myself, if you want to know. Don't argue." "No, that isn't the General's dog," remarked the constable profoundly. "The General hasn't got a dog like that. All his dogs are pointers." "Are you sure?" "Quite sure, Your Honour." "And you're right. The General's dogs are expensive breed dogs, and this one, just look at it. Ugly, mangy cur. Why should anyone keep a dog like that? Are you crazy? If a dog like that were to find itself in Moscow or Petersburg, do you know what would happen to it? Nobody would worry about the law. It would be got rid of in a minute. You're a victim, Kryukin, and mind you don't leave it at that. He must be taught a lesson. It's high time." "Perhaps it is the General's after all," said the constable, thinking aloud. "You can't tell by looking at it. I saw one just like it in his yard the other day." "Of course it's the General's," came the voice from the crowd. Help me on with my coat, Eldarin. I felt a gust of wind. I'm shivery. Take it to the General's and ask him. Say I found it and sent it, and tell them not to let it into the street. Perhaps it's an expensive dog, and it'll soon get spoiled if every brute thinks he can stick cigarettes into its nose. A dog's a delicate creature. And you put down your hand, blockhead. Stop showing everyone your silly finger. It's your own fault. Here comes the General's chef. We'll ask him. Hi, there, Procor. Come here, old man. Have a look at this dog. Is it yours? What next? We've never had one like that in our lives. No need to make any more inquiries, said Chemelov. It's a stray. What's the good of standing here talking? You've been told it's a stray, so a stray it is. Destroy it and have done with the matter. It isn't ours, continued Procor. It belongs to the General's brother, who came a short time ago. Our General takes no interest in borzois. His brother now he likes. What? Has the General's brother come? Vladimir Ivanitch? Exclaimed Chemelov, an ecstatic smile spreading over his features. Fancy that, and I didn't know. Come to stay? That's right. Just fancy. Wanted to see his brother, and I didn't know. So it's his dog. Very glad. Take it. It's a nice little doggy. Snapped its finger. Come now, don't tremble. Grrr, little rascal's angry. What a pup. Procor called the dog and walked out of the timber yard with it. The crowd laughed at Kryukin. I'll have you yet, Chemelov threatened him, and, wrapping his great coat around him, he continued his way across the marketplace. The end. Okay, so I did my research because I thought I better know what I'm doing if I'm going to do a bit of Chekhov. That's meant to be a funny story. I marked up a couple of others, but that one specifically was meant to be funny. So I don't know if my sense of humour is quite the same as Chekhov's right now. I think my sense of humour might be a bit more ridiculous and silly. If you know what was funny about that, please do comment below. I'd be very interested to find out. Oh dear. Yes, I've been doing much more silly things than that recently. You might have seen on this group I posted a sketch I did with my friend Ben. We're trying to break the internet. Anyway, I suppose I've got time for another. Maybe I'll do one where I'm not expecting it to be funny and it's just, you know, a gorgeous piece of Chekhovian literature. Perhaps that's a good way to go. You know, maybe I'm setting myself up for a fall here trying to be funny. Maybe we don't need to, maybe we can just read a nice story. The Lady with the Dog. Yes, I've marked that one. Perhaps we'll just go for, oh no, that's a very long one. Oh no, we won't do that. I was going to say, let's go for a canine theme. But I've decided against that now. Okay, Rothschild's Fiddle. 97. Again, bear with me with the pronunciations. I'm doing them in a very English style. When I did Anna Karenina, it was all, you know, what's an example? Doesn't matter, but you would pronounce the syllable that it sounds weird in English, but I'm going to do it in a much more anglicised way because it's just jarring otherwise, for me and for you. Rothschild's Fiddle. It was a tiny town, worse than a village, inhabited chiefly by old people, who so seldom died that it was really vexatious. Very few coffins were needed for the hospital and the jail. In a word, business was bad. If Yakov Ivanov had been a maker of coffins in the country town, he would probably have owned a house of his own by now, and would have been called Mr. Ivanov. But here, in this little place, he was simply called Yakov, and for some reason his nickname was Bronze. He lived as poorly as any common peasant in a little old hut of one room, in which he and Martha, and the stove, and a double bed, and the coffins, and his joiner's bench, and all the necessities of housekeeping were stowed away. The coffins... oh... I've just seen coffin a few times. I'm making an executive decision. Just not do that one. Can't be bothered. Look, there's a line to be drawn between trying to be really funny and also not talking about coffins at a time like this. Therefore, I'll just find one that's short. That's what I'll do. Okay. Great. A living chronology. Oh wow, I'm really on form today, aren't I? Look, it's been the weekend, okay? I'm taking some warming up. I'm only human. Right, a living chronology. Councillor of State Sheremikin's living room is bathed in pleasant semi-darkness. A large bronze lamp with a green shade casts a green light, a la Ukrainian nights, on the walls, furniture and faces. Now and then a smouldering log bursts into flame in the fireplace, and for a moment sheds the colour of a conflagration on the faces, but that does not spoil the general harmony of the illumination. The general tone, as artists say, is sustained. Sheremikin himself, an elderly man with the grey side whiskers of a bureaucrat and gentle light blue eyes, sits in an armchair in front of the fireplace, in the pose of someone who has just dined. Tenderness spreads over his face. His lips are composed into a sorrowful smile. At his feet, Vice-Governor Lopnev, a dashing man of 40, sits on a footstool, lazily stretching out and sticking his feet toward the fireplace. Sheremikin's children, Nina, Kolya, Nadia and Vanya, are playing near the piano. A light timidly darts through the slightly open door, leading to Mrs. Sheremikin's study. There, behind the door, Sheremikin's wife, Anna Pavlovna, the president of the local ladies' committee, a lively and piquant little lady, aged 30 and a touch, sits at her desk. Her dark, alert eyes run over the pages of a French novel through a pince-nez. Under the novel lies the disarranged annual report of the committee. Our town used to be more fortunate in that respect in previous years, says Sheremikin, blinking his gentle eyes at the smouldering fire. Not a single winter passed without the visit of some star. There used to be famous actors and singers, while today, God only knows, nobody visits except magicians and organ grinders. No aesthetic satisfaction whatsoever. We live in a wilderness. Yes, sir. But do you remember that Italian tragedian? Your Excellency. What was his name? That dark-haired, tall... If I can just... Ah, yes, Luigi Ernesto de Ruggiero. A remarkable talent, powerful. Sometimes he would utter a single word and the whole theatre would shake. My Anyutoshka took great interest in his talent. She went to a lot of trouble to get him a theatre and sold enough tickets for 10 performances. In return, he taught her declamation and mime. A splendid man. He came here, if I'm not mistaken, about 12 years ago. No, I'm off. Less, maybe 10 years ago. Anyutoshka, how old is our Nina? She was 9 on her last birthday. Anna Pavlovna shouts from her study. Why? Nothing, dearest, I just asked. And good singers used to come. Do you remember the tenor di grazia? Prilipichin? What a splendid man. What a figure. Blonde. Such an expressive face. Parisian manners. And what a voice, Your Excellency. He only had one shortcoming. He forced some notes and sang high B falsetto, but all the rest was fine. He said that he had studied with Tamberlik. Anyutoshka and I managed to get him a hall in the assembly, and out of gratitude he used to sing entire days and nights for us in return. He taught Anyutoshka to sing. He came here, I remember it distinctly, during Lent in 12 years ago. No, more. Oh, God, there's memory for you. Anyutoshka, how old is our Nechenka? 12. 12, if you add 10 months. Well, there you have it, 13. There used to be more life in town formerly, too, somehow. Take the benefit nights, for example. What marvellous evenings we used to have. What a delight. There was singing and acting and recitations. I remember after the war, when the Turkish prisoners were kept here, Anyutoshka organised an evening for the benefit of the wounded. They collected 1,100 rubles. The Turkish officers were crazy about Anyutoshka's voice, I remember, and kept kissing her hand. They're a grateful nation, even if they are Asiatics. The evening was so successful that I put it down in the journal, would you believe it? That was, I remember it distinctly, in 76. No, in 77. No, excuse me. When were the Turks here? Anyutoshka, how old is our Kolechka? I'm 7 years old, Papa, says Kolya, a swarthy kid with a dark complexion and hair black as coal. Yes, we've gotten old, and no longer have the energy we used to have. Loknev agrees, heaving a sigh. That's the reason. Old age, my friend. There are no new people to take the initiative, and the old have gotten old. They no longer have the old fire. When I was younger, I didn't want anyone to have a tedious time. I was your Anna Pavlovna's right-hand man. Whether it was arranging a benefit night or a lottery or to entertain a visiting celebrity, I'd give up everything and start busying myself about arrangements. One winter, I remember, I fussed and rushed around so much that I even fell ill. I'll never forget that winter. Do you remember what a show your Anna Pavlovna and I put on for the benefit of those who got burned out? What year did that take place? Not long ago. In 79? No, I think in 80. Excuse me, how old is your Vanya? 5. Anna Pavlovna shouts from the study. Well, that was 6 years ago then. Yes, my friend, there were lots of things afoot then. It's not the same anymore. The old spark is missing. Lopnev and Sharamikin became pensive. The smouldering log bursts into flames for the first time and becomes coated with ashes. The end. Hi Mark, hi Kevin. That was written in 1885. What I wouldn't give to be, I suppose, not sat round a fire, although perhaps outside somewhere with a friend. That would be very, very nice. Don't really know. It's funny with short stories, isn't it? There wasn't really a particular ending with that one, but it was lovely and wistful. I enjoyed reading it. I hope you enjoyed listening. I might do more of Chekhov on Thursday, just because we started today and there's a lot in here. I'll do a little bit more digging about which ones might have some humour, even if it is Chekhov's humour. And I'll see which ones to avoid. But yeah, thank you for listening. So tomorrow, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are now submission story time. So I've written in the description on this video, if you email storytimewithtamarin@outlook.com and you have any short stories or any poetry that you'd like reading out, it would be great to read out your material and to celebrate any talent that we have in this group. But also, you don't need to be like a writer, you know, you can just have written something. No judgment, it's just nice to share. Hey Dan. So yep, please get submitting your stories. I have a story ready for tomorrow actually. Yes, that's very exciting. And I do want to encourage you, if you have any kids or any younger siblings that are writing any stories at the moment, I would love to read their stories out. I want to read all the crazy imaginations of your kids. I think that would be really fun for all of us as well. Yeah, but anything fun and silly also by you adults is really welcome. And just to say again that all donations are now going to Refuge and Mankind, which are domestic abuse charities, because I think it's pretty important right now. Calls to the police and charities have more than doubled during lockdown, so let's support the people that need supporting. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow at 6:30 here live, and I'll be reading out a short story submitted by the public. Okay, have a lovely evening, guys. Lots of love.